All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and get started and, you know, let everybody else kind of show up as they do. So, welcome to our April version of Agility Learning Labs. For those of you that have been here before, thanks for coming back. And for those of you that are new, welcome. We're going to learn some fun WiSys stuff today. So, with our April version of Agility Learning Labs, we're going through all the different ways to pick and pack with WiSys. As a customer, I think this is a very informative session for you guys because there's a lot of different ways to do this in the system, and this is obviously a very key part of WMS, right? The outbound process, picking and packing, fulfilling sales orders, that's kind of paramount to your business. So, going through all the different ways to do this and finding what's going to be the most efficient for you is something really helpful, and hopefully we'll tackle all that today. So I always leave my camera on for introductions. So for those of you that haven't met me before, hi, I'm Chase Linson Bigler. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera though, so that I don't take away from the presentation today. All right. So who am I? I manage partner enablement here at WiSys. And the reason I'm qualified to do that is because I'm a former customer facing consultant. So as a part of the partner enablement team, what I do here is I, train partners, teach them about the software, show them how to use things, show them how to tailor applications, basically show them how to do everything that one of our WiSys consultants does for our customers, right? I don't think I've worked with anybody here directly before, but again, prior to this, I was a customer facing consultant, so I get a good idea of the problems that you guys deal with and the things that you tackle on a daily basis. And with that, as I produce content for our partners, I'm also working to produce just anything I can that's going to be helpful for a WiSys user, right? So while I'm making documentation and videos and things like that for our website to, show people how to use the software, a lot of it doubles down and works for partners as well as our end customers. And that's what has kind of brought us to these learning labs here. So on the third Tuesday of each month, we have a standing learning lab for all of our customers to basically jump in and learn a little bit more about what's going on with WiSys and the software that you guys, of course, are employing in your warehouse. So if you didn't know about that, you can go ahead and book those on your calendar for the third Tuesday of every month if you want to make sure you're available for them, because of course we don't send out an invite until about a week before. But if you want to make sure you're available, third Tuesday every month, 2:30 to 3:30, we'll be here. So if that's something you want to make sure you have time for, that's fine to throw it on your calendar because it'll be consistent every month. Now, what are we doing today? So what we're going to cover today is all the ways to pick and pack in WiSys. And really, we're breaking it down to kind of two modules here, so to speak, right? If you were on last month's session, you would have learned a little bit from Aaron about the different tiers of, our system. And in the purchasing process, you probably learned that as well. We sell agility in essentials, professional, and enterprise. Those are the three different tiers. So essentials, which is going to be where we're going to start today, that's, pretty much our pure out of the box product, fits very true to how SAP Business One works, right? So we take the documents and, the processes from SAP Business One, we put them on a handheld device so that the warehouse worker can, update those documents and use those B1 processes where they would actually use them in the real life process flow, right? So we take those documents that they would be updating and we bring them to the warehouse floor so they can use them as they're actually going through the steps. Those are going to be applications like sales order picking and directed sales order picking for picking a pick list in B1, and things like SO delivery to create that sales order delivery in Business One. Then if you move up a tier to Agility Professional, you'll see that's not listed here. That simply gives you the ability to tailor and customize those applications. And we're not going to really talk about that too much today, but it's just good to be aware of, the fact that if you move up to Agility Professional, you're in between these two tiers. Any of these applications you see here today, they can be customized to, fit the actual process you do if you do something that's a little bit off of the path of what we're laying out for you here. Then lastly, when we get into Agility Enterprise, That's where WiSys reaches its full potential, right? So we bring in a couple of additional layers to the system that build on and expand on the functionality that SAP Business One has. So SAP out of the box doesn't really fit exactly to what a real warehouse process looks like, right? And two of those biggest gaps that SAP has are, the packaging side of things, how you group together items, and what happens between a sales order and a sales order delivery. So we add in two layers, our packaging layer, which allows you to, group multiple items together in a package, which would be like a pallet or a carton, and assign it a license plate number, move it around your warehouse with that license plate, add it to, a sales order delivery with that license plate, things like that. And then we add in a shipment layer, which is that step between sales order and sales order delivery. So, you would take your sales order, you'd be able to pack them onto a shipment, know that those sales orders that are on that shipment and those packages or items that are on that shipment are ready to be shipped out. But they're still going to show up in your inventory. You're still going to be able to account for them, and you're not going to have to create an SO delivery until you're actually ready in the, real warehouse process when that step comes. And with Agility Enterprise, we add, several different elements to the pick and pack process. So we add picking to a package, which builds on what we're going to talk about with sales order picking. It uses a pick list in SAP, but allows you to, put that directly into a WiSys package on a WiSys shipment. We have pack package and load package, which give you the ability to do that without utilizing a pick list. So you're able to pack items from a sales order into a package and put it onto a shipment, or load an existing package in your system onto a WiSys shipment. And then lastly, we have Fulfillment Manager from the desktop, which we'll talk a little bit about. And that's where our customers who, have a real pack station, maybe in their staging area, they have a pack station with a desktop computer and a desktop scanner. That is the actual desktop application that they would use to pack those, utilizing their desktop location there, of course. So we're going to start with the ways to pick and pack with Agility Essentials. Again, this is very true to how SAP B1 works. So we take the functionality of SAP Business One and we extend it to the warehouse. So we're taking those documents you're already using, that you would update after the fact, so the warehouse worker goes, they do their process, then you would update those documents in B1. We're taking those, we're putting them on a handheld scanner so they can be updated in real time as the actual tasks are performed. We're going to start with sales order picking and directed picking to show you how to pick a pick list. And then we'll also show you how to create an SO delivery immediately from that. And again, this bypasses the layers that we would add. So there's no packaging involved and no shipment creation involved between the sales order and SO delivery here. So I'm going to jump to SAP Business One. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the sales order and pick list we're going to do. So first, we're going to start with sales order 1100 here. Just real simple. I have 5 of this item A0001. And if we jump to our pick list, we'll see once again just that sales order, real basic, a 1 sales order pick list. And we're going to go ahead and pick these items. So I'm going to pull up my handheld emulator. This is going to show exactly how WiSys looks on your handheld device in the warehouse, on the warehouse floor. I'm going to go to sales order picking to start. And what we're going to see here is an application that, again, just allows you to pick that pick list that is associated with the sales order. Now, the difference between this and directed picking seems subtle at first, but is actually very big. Sales order picking is a free form type of application, right? This gives the picker full power to pick what they want from where they want, when they want, right? So they guide the process here. So if I'm the picker, let's say I have an actual paper pick list that has a barcode for my sales order and my pick list on it. I know that's not always the process. And if it isn't, they can use our lookups to see all of the different pick lists assigned to them. They can look at all the sales orders assigned to those pick lists and what have you. But here I have the barcode, so I'm going to scan them. I'm going to start with my pick list number, 450, then go to my order, that 1100. And now I'm able to select items from what is on that pick list. So I could look it up. If I didn't have a paper pick list, it tells me what's on there. Again, in this case, I know, and I have a barcode. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk over to the item that I know I need and scan the barcode. So walk over, I scan my A0001. I know that I need to pick 5, and I know that I need to track the bin I'm taking it out of. So now I take those 5 items, set them to the side, scan my bin, track that bin, and enter in the amount of items I took. And it's going to translate my pick list to fully picked. If I jump back to SAP Business One and refresh, we'll see that the status is now picked. All 5 that were released are now picked. If we take a look at the sales order as well, we'll see that our sales order pick status now changes to Y for yes, these items are picked. So pretty simple change there in SAP. We pick the pick list. It's again, it just fits exactly what you're doing in SAP. So you take this sales order, create a pick list, and we just go through the process to actually physically pick that pick list. Now, with something like this, let's say this isn't a big shipment. This is just a small parcel situation. Maybe your FedEx driver is at the warehouse. We know we want this order to go out today. Nobody had touched it yet. Nobody picked it. It wasn't ready. So they told me, okay, Chase, go grab the gun, scan in those items, pick that pick list, and hand it over to the FedEx driver so he can take it and go. If I do a process like that on the fly, when I'm done picking here, I can actually simply just click this delivery button. Like I mentioned before, there's a standalone sales order delivery application that I could come in later if maybe I pick this in 2 days later or 2 hours later, it goes out the door. I can go to a standalone application. But in this case, the FedEx driver is here. I want to ship it out. I go ahead, I hit delivery. Now this would prompt whatever documents necessary to print, like a pick list or packing sheet, whatever. And if I jump back over to here and refresh, we'll see our sales order is now closed. And in our relationship map, we'll see that SO delivery created for the sales order. So again, completely true to how SAP works. We don't create any middle level there. It's just, you take your sales order, you pick the items, and then you send them out of the system. You create your sales order delivery. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at directed picking, which is a little bit more of an advanced form. So I'm going to use this sales order 1101. It's actually going to be 2 sales orders. I have a mixed pick list for this, pick list 451 with sales order 1101 and 1102. I'm going to go back and open up directed sales order picking. And here with directed sales order picking, the first thing you're going to notice is there's not a bunch of lookups like before. Every field is going to be passed in or scanned for validation's sake, right? So what happens from within directed picking is we guide you on the best possible pick path based on your rules in SAP Business One. So when you set up your bins, we look at the order for how your bins are set up so we know what the structure of your warehouse looks like. We group together like items on the pick list. So if you had 50 orders on this pick list and 5 of them had this item A001, and that's where we start, you would go through all 5 lines of that A001 for the various orders, pick them so that you're not running back and forth throughout the warehouse. And then we'll guide you to the next closest item based on your bin logic and so on and so forth. So here I'm going to start by simply scanning in my pick list number. Also, just to note, they could use the lookup here if you don't have a paper pick list to scan like I'm doing. I'm just doing this for efficiency's sake. They could look at the lookup, see all the pick lists assigned to them, and select whichever pick list they want to pick. Now I scanned it in. You see it defaults in an item. It tells me what bin to take that item from and how many to take. So as the warehouse worker, I'm going to walk over to the bin it's telling me, that 0517R1L3P1. I'm going to find my item and scan it. So there's my A001. I scan that. I'm going to scan the bin code. In this case, I didn't print this bin code out, so I'm just going to type it in real quick. And then I'm going to enter in the quantity that I'm picking, which is 5. And now, as you see, there were 2 different sales orders, both with that same item on it. So instead of having me run over, pick this item, and then come back, it's going to go in the correct order. So now I'm just going to stay where I'm at and pick 5 more of that item to fulfill that sales order 1102 as well. So now I'm just going to scan again. and type in my bin here again. Now, normally in the warehouse, I would be scanning this, then enter my quantity of 5. And now it'll move me to my last item and the closest bin that item is in proximity to where I'm already standing, where I just picked at. So now I'm going to go over to that item B10,000, scan that, and I'm going to type in my bin again, 05A1, and my quantity of 2. And now you'll see, once again, the pick list goes to fully picked. Same exact process as before. If I refresh here, our pick list status goes to picked, and our sales orders will both have our pick status flag changed to yes. So there's yes, and if I go to that 1102, also yes for both items. And now once again, same process. If this was a big order and I'm shipping it out later in the day or tomorrow or whatever, I'd probably sit it aside and go into the standalone application later to ship it out of the system. But in this case, let's say, same process as before, a FedEx driver is there. I'm picking this so we can hurry up and get it out the door. I'm going to go ahead and ship it from my handheld once again. I'm just going to click on this delivery button here, press that. Again, it would print any necessary documents, a packing slip, what have you. If I jump back into SAP Business One, closes my sales orders. If we go to our relationship map, it'll create a delivery for both of those sales orders. So it'll join them to a delivery because I'm shipping them all in one process. Again, if you don't want that to happen, you would not ship that full pick list from the pick list application. You would back out of the pick list application, go to the sales order delivery application, and ship these sales orders individually. But again, if we take a look at our delivery, we see the 2 lines of that like item as well as our additional item. Everything just copies over from the pick list essentially to our SO delivery here in the system. And then lastly, if we jump back to our pick list as well here and refresh, we'll see the pick list status is now closed because those sales orders are closed in the system. So again, pretty simple, fits exactly to how B1 works. Now, we want to take a look at what that standalone sales order delivery application looks like, because typically that's going to be the process you're going to follow, right? You might pick these items, sit them aside in a staging area, and then jump back in and create a sales order delivery when the truck driver's here and ready to take the full load of items. So if we go into sales order delivery, all we're going to do is we're going to go down through the order and validate that we have all the correct items for that sales order. So I'll start here by scanning my sales order. And if I don't have that, again, I could, of course, look it up or just type it in if I know what sales order it's supposed to be, but I don't have a barcode. Scan in my item. It's just that A00001. Here, I should actually pull up my sales order here, that 1103. So again, same item, 5 is my quantity. So I'm going to scan it in, scan the bin that I took it out of, and then enter in my quantity of 5 here. And now what happened is we save this in a WiSys preload table. So this is important to note. Whenever you set up your settings in WiSys, you have the option to do single transactions or composite transactions. So any document in WiSys that takes several lines and puts them to the same document in SAP, you could set it up so that it's a single transaction. So right there, it would have just posted a sales order delivery for that one single item. Or you can keep it composite, which is what I did here, and save it to a WiSys preload table. So in this case, what happened is it's saved to our WiSys preload. If I go to my view here, I can see everything that's sitting there for this sales order on my WiSys preload, and I can check and make sure, okay, all the items that I'm shipping out physically right now are listed here. I know they look good. And again, if I look in SAP, nothing has happened yet. The order's still open. Nothing in my relationship map. So now I know I'm ready to go. I want to create my delivery now. The driver's actually going to take the items. I can go ahead and post here. And it's simply, again, just going to go ahead and create that sales order delivery. So now in real time, we see that sales order change to closed. And if we go to our relationship map here, we'll see our delivery created, same items. Everything just copies over again from our sales order just like we've seen before. So, while those applications aren't quite as eventful because we don't add in the fun warehouse stuff that the enterprise product adds in, we see here that they're very true to SAP Business One. We take these B1 documents, put them on the handheld, and allow your workers to go through the actual process. So that's what's available to you with the Essentials product. So out of the box, if you get Essentials, our cheapest tier, our lowest tier, basically that provides you that functionality from SAP just on a handheld, right? So now let's say we're moving on up to Enterprise. We get the WiSys Enterprise product. Again, we're adding in that packaging layer and that shipment layer. So now we're able to group together items into a package and move them around with a license plate number assigned to that package. And we're also able to put those items, put multiple sales orders, what have you, onto a shipment that is a step in between a sales order and an SO delivery. Kind of similar in a way to how that preload table functioned for SO delivery, right? It allows us to prepare those items, have them ready to go, but not post that delivery yet. So we're going to start with pick to package, again, utilizing pick lists just like we did before, but this time it's going to put them into a package and on a WiSys shipment. Then we'll go down through packing and loading packages, which can be done without a pick list, and end on fulfillment manager, which is what would take place on the desktop product. So if we jump back to B1 here, we'll go to our next sales order. We're going to go with 1104. And our pick list here is going to be number 452. So if I pull up my handheld, we're going to start with picking to a carton. So, we're doing pick to package here. We're going to start with a carton. Anything cartons is typically associated a little bit more with small parcel things. So those are still found in our distribution menu here. When we get into pallets, that's it's a lot of data. There's a lot that goes into pallets in the WiSys system. So those are all separated out in the pallets menu instead of the distribution menu. But for now, we're sticking with cartons. So that's going to be found just right here in distribution. We're going to go to SO pick pack carton. And here, once again, we're walking through the same process we did before on sales order picking. So it's free form. I pick what I want, when I want, from where I want. I guide my own path. Picker has full control. But we're adding that onto a shipment and packing those items into a carton. So if I wanted to add it to a shipment that already exists or put those items in a carton that already exists, I could do that. But here we're just going to hit enter to create a new shipment and a new carton, for our specific sales order and pick list here. Now I'm going to go ahead and scan my pick list. So that's going to be that pick list 452 and my order here again, which is going to be that 1104. Now I know there's just one item on here, so I walk over to my item, go ahead and give that a scan. And then I'm going to also want to scan the bin that I'm taking it out of. And finally, I'm going to enter in my quantity of 5 here. And same as before, what we see here is that the pick list is now fully picked. The status updates in real time, even though we add in these different pieces of the WiSys WMS system here. Everything's still just the same real-time system as before. So if we refresh, we see it's now picked in the system. We take a look at our sales order. Pick flag is yes. And if we take a look at inventory transfer here, we see that we have our transfer take place. So there's 5 items moved, from the bin location I'm scanning, O5A1 S1 L1, to our staging bin location where our shipments are built up and created. Now, if I take a look in WiSys, a few things happen over in Agility Explorer that we want to talk about. So now that we're utilizing packages and shipments, that data is tracked easily here through Agility Explorer. So we're going to want to jump in here and take a look. So we see we created a shipment 268 and a carton 10146. If we take a look at our shipment, we'll see our carton is there on the shipment 10146. It's a carton. Our item, our quantity, our sales order, all copy over. And if we go to our inventory palette view and take a look at all of the packages we have in the system, we'll also see that carton 10146 created here in the system for that shipment 268. Now that same exact process can be repeated here for pallets. So if we jump back over here, we go to our pallet sales order, it's going to be 1105. And our pallet pick list is going to be 453. I'll leave that up. And again, we have to go to our pallet menu instead of distribution. So we jump over to pallets and we go to SO pick pack pallet. Same exact application as before, same steps, but this time I'm going to add this pallet I'm picking and packing. I'm going to add this pallet to the shipment I just created, 268. Now I'm going to still create a new pallet. There's no pallets currently on that shipment in Fulfillment Manager, so I'm going to hit enter there again for new pallet. Scan my pick list number. Scan my order number. So again, it's that order 1105, pick list 453. Walk over, grab my item, give it a scan, and scan the bin that I am taking it out of. Once again, it's that S1A1 or 05A1 S1L1. And then I'm going to enter in my quantity of 5. And my pick list will go to fully picked. Those items will be packed now into a pallet. So if I refresh here, pick the items, sales order, item flag goes to picked, and inventory transfer we can look at again too. It's just worth noting, I won't show this every time, but again, it's worth noting it moves from that bin I scanned into our staging area where we stage and pack and create our shipments. And now if I jump back over to Agility Explorer here and refresh my grid, I'll see my new pallet 10147, package type is pallet this time, lines up with what I see here on my handheld 10147, tied to shipment 268. And if I refresh that shipment 268, we'll see my pallet is now added and packed onto the shipment as well. So that's how you can utilize those layers in WiSys and still use a pick list from SAP Business One in one clean process there. But if you don't want to utilize a pick list, we go to packing a pallet or packing a carton. So I'm going to jump back to SAP again here, pull up my new pick list and my new sales order. I'm going to get rid of my inventory transfers too. You see the point there. We don't need to track that every single time. So I'm going to jump to my next sales order here. 1106. And again, there's no more pick list, so I can get rid of that as well. And we're going to just pack a carton this time. So if I jump over here to my handheld, I go back to distribution again because this is cartons. I'm going to scroll down to pack cartons. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the same steps of the process, except there's no pick list involved. So nothing is getting picked. I am taking items from one bin, moving them to my staging area in SAP. That's all that's happening in SAP. Then I'm packing them into a WiSys carton and putting that WiSys carton onto a shipment. So I'm going to create a new shipment and carton once again. Going to scan my order. Scan my item. I'm taking that A00001 from the same bin that I've been using and a quantity of 5. So now we see our new shipment created 269, carton 10148. And if I jump back here and refresh, nothing changed this time on the pick status. The only thing that changes in SAP here, I guess I prematurely got rid of this, but we'll just take a look. The only thing that changed here in SAP is another transfer is created. And again, we see it took it out of the bin I scanned and moved it into that staging bin where we create our shipments. And that staging bin is set in your WiSys settings, of course. Now, if I jump back over to WiSys and go to our shipment 269, we'll see our new shipment with our carton, same as before, copied everything over directly, keeps track of the order. Go to our pallet view, same thing, we can see the package here. Here's our carton 10148, shipment 269. We followed all the same steps essentially here, right? But in this case, kind of taking us back a step to like the sales order picking application that we looked at, cartons are often used in small parcel shipping. So a pallet, you're typically not going to pack up a pallet and a FedEx driver's here and he's just going to pick it up and go, right? But with a carton, you often have FedEx or USPS or UPS, whoever is here. You want to hurry up, pick this order, and just hand them the box and they go and ship it for you. So in that case, let's say this order came through, it needed fulfilled immediately. The driver's here. My guy says to the driver, give me 5 minutes, goes over, packs up this carton. Now it's ready to go and I want to ship it out of the system. Again, even though we have this middle step between sales order and SO delivery, very similar to before, this time instead of a delivery button, we have a ship button. We hit ship. You're going to see this update and close the application. And if we jump back here, we'll see our shipment is now shipped in the system. Status changed to S. Our package now changes to a ship status and gives us a date of when that package was shipped. And if we jump back to B1, now we will have a change to the sales order. Our sales order will be closed. And in our relationship map, a corresponding sales order delivery will be created. So again, it goes through very similar to those essentials applications that fit very true to B1 and how B1 functions. What happens is actually very similar, but we add in those elements in WiSys to make it make more sense with what's actually happening on the warehouse floor there. Now we can go ahead and repeat the same process for a pallet here. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to jump to order 1107 here. Pull up the handheld, jump to our pallets menu, and go to pack pallets, and go through the same scanning steps. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new shipment, new pallet, scan in my order, walk over, grab my item, scan the item barcode, and scan the bin barcode for where I'm taking it from, and enter in that quantity of 5 there. Now I have that shipment and pallet created. Nothing happens to the sales order again because I'm not picking it. If I go to inventory transfer, I do have a new transfer. 1312 is created. We can see, okay, we took it from that bin to that bin. I know it's repetitive, same type of process, but you just want to see and get used to what's happening in SAP Business One as we go through these steps. And now I can jump over to WiSys and take a look at shipment 270 and pallet 10149. So if I refresh here, we'll see that pallet 10149. We created it the exact same way we did the carton, but you know, in this case, the package type is pallet rather than being CTN for carton. And if we jump over to Fulfillment Manager, we'll check out that shipment 270 here. There we go. Now the only difference this time is I'm not going to ship it from the handheld because I can't. We don't give you that ability because a pallet is not usually going to be used in small parcels. So that's not a common warehouse process. We don't want to give the ability to the person who's packing a pallet to just, you know, go ahead and ship it right there from a handheld because typically that's not what you're going to want to actually do. And that would be a mistake on the warehouse floor. Now, I'm sure you're wondering here though, if I'm using pallets, I have enterprise, I use pallets in my regular inventory. So maybe items come in from a container, they're already palletized. And I often have customers like Amazon or Walmart that buy in bulk. They'll buy a couple full pallets of an item. How do I take one of those pallets that's just sitting in my inventory and stick it onto a shipment? So that's going to be called load pallets. You only do that with pallets because you can use pallets as a regular inventory unit. Cartons out of the box are not an inventory unit. They're only utilized in shipping. So there's no load cartons application, but we have load pallets. So if we jump in here, back out of pack pallets and go to load pallets, we're going to be able to take a pallet from our inventory and just stick it directly onto the shipment. So I'm going to use this same shipment here and I'm going to add a pallet to it. So I'm going to type in shipment 270. And again, I could hit enter there for a new shipment if I wanted, just like the steps we did before, but this time I'm going to add it to my existing shipment. If I jump over to SAP, we'll take a look at what our sales order is for this. Sales order 1108. I'm going to scan my item. Again, same item, that A0001. And now we're going to find a pallet to fulfill this. So if I jump back over to Fulfillment Manager here and move over to my inventory pallet view, I can quickly see that I have a pallet 10145 here that has a quantity of 5 of that item on it, but it's not tied to a shipment. See shipment number 0, which indicates that pallet's just in standard inventory. Here, I'm going to go ahead and search it so that we can kind of get rid of all the extra stuff there and focus in on the pallet we're moving. So we're going to take this 10145, jump over here. If I were on the warehouse floor, I'd scan the pallet label. This time I'm going to type it in, hit enter. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking that pallet and I'm just sticking it onto this shipment. So now I'm saying this full pallet is ready to go. It's getting shipped out of the system and I'm putting it onto that shipment 270 there. So if I refresh here, we'll see the bin changed because it moved to my staging area where my shipments are held. It was added to shipment 270 and it was assigned a load date. So now we know, okay, it went from regular inventory and got loaded onto a shipment on 4/18, today's date. If we jump over to Fulfillment Manager and refresh shipment 270 here in real time, we see the update. That pallet is now added to the shipment. So we have that pallet that existed prior, 10145, and then the one we packed a few minutes ago, 10149. And over in SAP, again, no picking happened, so no update here, but that full pallet moved. So we have, again, another inventory transfer. And even though we moved a WiSys pallet that had 5 items on it, all we see in SAP, of course, is what happened in SAP. So we see those 5 items moving from this time bin location 05P to our staging bin 05S. So now, again, no option to ship that on the handheld because we don't want to do that with pallets. That's not going to be the typical process. So if we jump back to Fulfillment Manager here, we can go ahead and do just an LTL shipment from the desktop. So, these pallets are ready, they're packed, they're ready to go. The driver shows up. My shipping manager, maybe he just has a desktop location. Maybe he has a little office there that every day he just ships from the desktop, right? So I tell him, okay, we're ready to go. We're going to ship it out. He jumps into shipment 270, selects LTL, can add any information he needs here. Just go ahead and hit print. And now it's shipped out of the system. We see it refreshed. And if we go to 270 here, that shipment has the ship status now. All the package status is changed. The shipment status changed. We go here to our pallets that were associated. We see it's now changed to status S with that confirmed ship date. And the same thing will happen for the other pallet that was on the order as well, status S. And if we jump over to SAP and we go to our sales orders, both are now going to be closed. Both sales orders are now closed. In our relationship map, what we will see here is both of those sales orders, again, are joined to a delivery note. So similar to before when we had a mixed pick list and went ahead and created an SO delivery for the entire pick list. In this case, we took a shipment, we added multiple sales orders to that shipment, and we're able to group them together and send them out at the same time, joining them to the same SO delivery here in SAP Business One. It's 949. You see the 2 lines of that same item. So those are all the ways to pick, pack, and ship utilizing the handheld device. But now we'll go and take a look and see if, if you were using an actual pack station, you have a desktop location there at your staging area in the warehouse where you pack the items and, you have a little scanner connected to your desktop. We'll take a look at what that would look like here. So that's just going to be done utilizing Fulfillment Manager, which we're already comfortable with at this point. We would go in there and create a new shipment. So let's say, we know what the order is. We picked all the items for the order. If we used a pick list, if we didn't, we just did a bin transfer, moved them all over to the staging area. Those items are ready to be packed. And I tell my shipping coordinator, hey, go ahead and pack up, this sales order. So in this case, it's sales order 1109. So I say, go ahead, pack up sales order 1109. He's going to go in here, create a new shipment. In this case, it's just 5 items. So we would cartonize that, Depends on your process. Maybe those 5 items are big and they go on a pallet, but I'm just going to utilize a carton here. I hit add carton, and it's one single item code. Even though it's 5 of that item, it's only one item code, so I can just hit add item here. Add items would allow you to go through the process and add, several different independent item codes. So I'm going to go to add item. Just going to scan my order number simply. Go ahead and scan my item. So again, I have a actual scanner connected to my desktop. Same type of environment would be there in your warehouse, right? So you have an actual packing station with a desktop. You have a scanner connected through USB or something like that. Defaults to our O5 S bin because that's our staging bin where shipments are created. And then we go ahead and enter in our quantity of 5. And for those of you that, don't use a staging bin, you don't have to have one. If I didn't have one created in the system, it would allow me to select the bin here, but I have a staging bin set up in mine. Go ahead and hit OK. And now our carton's created with those items. Again, this time I did this all from the desktop instead of jumping over to the handheld. I could also create a pallet. I would even have the option to do an inner pack here. This can't be done from the handheld out of the box, but it can be done from fulfillment manager, from a packing station type of environment. I could take a package like a carton and pack it into another package like a pallet. So here we see we have a pallet with a carton on that pallet. A bunch of different ways for how we could structure the shipment. But it's worth noting that if we jump back over to our package list, we're only going to see 10150. We won't see these 2 packages because they don't have any items in it. So a package without an item is not going to be tracked on here. It's essentially a ghost package because there's no tie to SAP Business One, of course. It's now pretty simple. Everything's packed up. I did my scanning with my desktop scanner, packed up the whole shipment. Again, I'm going to ship it LTL. If you had agility shipping, you could ship it with UPS, FedEx, USPS based on your roles. I just don't have all that set up for today. We wanted to keep it nice and simple. So we'll go LTL. Again, you can add any information here that you want to. I'm just going to skip past that. And that print button would also print a BOL or a packing slip if I had that set up. And now I can go back to that shipment. So that was our most recent shipment here. We'll just go ahead and query the system and see that shipment 271. And now the status is changed to shipped. All the packages on it are shipped. In our pallet view, if we refresh, status shipped, confirm ship date. And once again, one last time in SAP Business One, it closes out our sales order and creates the associated SO delivery document here. So those are all the different ways to pick and pack and ship through your WiSys system. So just to run back through everything we covered today, from within WiSys, there's different tiers of the WiSys product. And when you start with the Agility Essentials tier, our cheapest tier, our most introductory version, so to speak, the most simple version, it takes the processes from SAP, takes those documents, puts them on the handheld, so you can walk through the process, the exact way that the employee would actually perform it in the warehouse, updating those SAP documents in real time. That's done with our sales order picking, directed sales order picking to go through a pick list process if you use pick list. And we can also do SO delivery to just simply create a sales order delivery. Whether you have a pick list or not, it doesn't matter. It can create a sales order delivery for any sales order in your system. Then once you're on the enterprise product, the most advanced version of WiSys, we add in a few layers there to allow you to do things that are more realistic for a warehouse, like utilizing packages and utilizing a shipment, which is a middle step between a sales order and a delivery. And the forms that produces are picking to a package, which is using a pick list, picking those items, putting them in a package, and creating a shipment all at once. Packing a package, which is no pick list, just allowing you to create a shipment, put items into a package to fulfill a sales order. Load package, which allows you to take items that are already on a package, take that entire package that's sitting in inventory, transfer it to a shipment, and have it ready to be shipped out. And lastly, fulfillment manager, which would work as a packing station and allow you to simply pack from a desktop location. So if you have a packing station or a shipping station, you can hook up a scanner to it and perform all of these transactions there from the desktop. So that's everything I wanted to cover today. I wanted to make sure to leave time for questions, and luckily we got about 15 minutes left here. If you guys need additional enablement on this type of stuff, you may have a consultant you work with already. You can reach out to them. If not, you can reach out to me and I will get you pointed to the right place.